Okay, call the meeting to order at 7:01. Has the board had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting?
Yes, I have. I have, anyway. Move to accept as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Notify the public we're returning from an executive session on contracts, department heads, and committees. Chief King. Chief?
I'd just like to present this to the board. That's the
Oh,
photos
thank you.
and the DVD from Pride Day. There's 180.
Is that on cable? I haven't seen it.
180 photos.
I don't know.
And there's 2 copies of the DVD in the back.
Great job as always. Thank you, Chief.
Real nice. Turned out to be a very nice day.
It was beautiful.
I thought it was going to rain, but then
Yeah, no, it worked
sun
out
came
very
and
well.
Everything was fine.
It was. Oh, wow.
Great. Whoa.
How many pictures did you say?
180.
180.
Wow.
My goodness.
Mm. Well, that's great.
Look at them after.
Yeah, I'll check them out. Thank you very much, Chief.
Anything else for us tonight, Chief?
So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Moving on, the Raynham Cultural Council. Mrs. Roberts.
Chief,
I think Judy.
Oh, Judy, okay.
Yes, she's, some of our cultural
You need
council
them.
members.
Could you just go to the podium, please?
Some of our cultural council members are here. Last year, we awarded a grant to Jesse Green to make a picture, to do a carving of King Philip. We thought that would go with Raynham's history. So we have today Pat White and Kathleen Roberts who are going to talk about it. And before, I would just like to remind everyone that the Raynham Cultural Council is part of the Massachusetts Cultural Council. We have a limited $3,800 that we can award in grants to benefit culture in Raynham. And these grants must reach us by October 15th or be postmarked by then. So if any of you wish to write a grant, you're welcome to. Or if anyone wishes to join the council with us, you're also invited to do that. We're appointed by the Selectmen. Thank you. I'll give the podium to Kathleen.
This is about the gentleman we're going to talk about tonight, anyway. King Philip. The Wampanoag Foundation of the Algonquin Indians played an integral part in the colonization of our geographic area by the English, beginning in the year 1620. Massasoit, sachem of the Wampanoags, was instrumental in helping the people we call pilgrims, who had few resources, adjust to a new and difficult landscape. Massasoit lived for 40 years after the arrival of the English. During that time, the Wampanoags and the colonists enjoyed a generally peaceful coexistence. In July 1621, Edward Winslow and Stephen Hopkins, 2 prominent men within the Plymouth settlement, were sent to Mount Hope, where Massasoit lived, and where Massasoit spent most of his time. They were asked to do the following things, and I quote, to explore the interior in order to gain knowledge of the Pokanoket, Wampanoag country, to apologize for some misbehaviors, to establish and regulate intercourse, to procure corn, and to strengthen their mutual good understanding, end of quote. According to all the accounts, Winslow and Hopkins were well received by Massasoit and all the Wampanoags. In 1622, the Wampanoags went to Plymouth, and in what was interpreted as a sign of strength of their relationship, asked to be given English names. Wamsutta, Massasoit's eldest son, Moononam, was then called from then on Alexander. Massasoit's second son answered to many names: Palmeticon, Metacon, Metacomet, and Palmetacomet. The English name that he received was Philip. After the deaths of Massasoit and Wamsutta, When Philip had assumed the role of sachem, some of the English began to refer to him as King Philip. According to historians, this was not a term of deference. Massasoit's first son, Ward Sutter, by all accounts, did not have the skill to forge the relationship with the English the way his father had. One day in 1662, Wampanoag was called to appear in the General Court in Plymouth to explain some transgressions. He had been called the year before, but he didn't appear. Rumors had it that he was conspiring against the colonists. During Wamsutter's return trip from Philip, he became ill and died. Philip believed Wamsutter's death was from medicine he had received in Plymouth. Philip continued to live in the same areas his father had, Mount Hope, Rhode Island. But from what we know, Philip also spent time in the summers at his hunting lodge in Raynham around Fowling Pond. Fowling Pond, which was once 2 miles in length and 3/4 of a mile in width, is now given over totally to encroachment. It was located off what is now King Philip Street. Local historians tell us that James Leonard of the Leonard Iron Works had befriended Philip by fixing his tools and sometimes providing him with beef. The animosity between the Wampanoags under Philip and the English continued to escalate. It is postulated by historians that much of this had to do with the difference in the concept of land ownership and the difference in the cultures. Although the Wampanoags under both Massasoit and Philip sold land to the English in return for goods, they continued to view the land as belonging to everyone and for everyone's use. The denial of access to them, to the land they had formerly used and roamed freely on, was a source of deep contention. In 1674, the war which we now call King Philip's War broke out. Many believe it was inevitable. The area in which the war was fought was around settlements in Massachusetts, all the way to our western border, Rhode Island, and the eastern section of Connecticut. However, during the war, Philip engaged other Native American tribes. The overwhelming majority of these local tribes, of course, joined Philip, but a small number aligned themselves with the colonists. Several of the settlement areas that were attacked during the war were burned, some totally decimated, and casualties inflicted. But we should remember the Native Americans also suffered substantial losses. The hostilities pretty much ceased at Philip's death in 1676. Although Raynham was in that area of many of the attacks, the town was left unscathed during the war. Raynham never experienced any attacks. Many believe that Raynham's special position in the war was a direct result of Philip's friendship with James Leonard. Philip was the instigator of the war, but he should not be remembered in a one-dimensional sense. Philip showed great strength and courage and bravery during the war. From his perspective, he was fighting to retain the Wampanoags' land, their culture, and a way of life that had existed for hundreds of years. So Raynham's experiences with King Philip were positive. This is where he spent summers. So we now say, welcome home, Pometicon, King Philip.
Jesse Green, the sculptor who does this sort of thing, has a nickname. He's called The Machine, Jesse Green. So this is about Jesse Green. First of all, he is a sculptor, but he does not use a chisel. He uses a chainsaw. Now, the Cultural Council awarded him a grant to produce King Philip. So a year ago, Pride Day, he brought a huge log and his chainsaws to the Pride Day area, and to the amazement, amusement, and delight of the people who were there, he began to carve King Philip. At the end of the day, he brought his materials back to Medway, where he lives. He finished the carving, he sanded, and he painted King Philip. As a result, we now have a permanent piece of artwork about a man who was important in Raynham's history. Green himself said he was happy to do a tribute to this man who was the leader of his Native American group during a terrible chapter in their history. Now, his project, Green's project, was called ECHO, E-C-O, ECHO Art Massachusetts. And Green wants someday to have one of these landmarks in every community in the state. He already has a good number of them. There's one of Emerald Lagasse down in Fall River. There's one in Bridgewater of the Brick Man, because they used to make bricks in Bridgewater. And there's one not too close, it's in Spencer, but it's a name you'll recognize. It's of Elias Howe, the man who invented the sewing machine. Now, speaking about his work, Green says, are you ready for this? Every piece is unique, historically relevant, ecologically something. Friendly, ecologically friendly, life-size, and chainsaw sculpted. He also said that they have a cartoonish quality to them, which makes people smile when they go up to look at it, and that makes him happy. He says that's fine if they smile while they're looking and learning. He hopes they also smile when they see King Philip and learn about him, although he did do King Philip with a sense of dignity. Now, when he did it, nobody knows what King Philip looked like, but he did give him an expression of a subdued, thoughtful expression, and that's what he hoped would come across. Now, the council, the next step is they're going to take King Philip, they hope, on a tour, an historical tour, to the schools in Raynham. They're going to leave him, they hope, at each school for a little bit, and the students and the adults will look at him and learn something about him. After that, they're going to have to find a home for him. They don't know yet where they're going to put him permanently, but they'll find a home for him. Meanwhile, we are happy to say King Philip is back in town.
Thank you. Any other presentations on this? Any other comments?
No, just there is King Philip
Thank
over
you.
there.
To the board, any comments?
No, just to say that thank Mr. Green very much, and thank the board very much for making this effort. And
If you're ever interested, if you go on themachinejessegreen.com, you can find him with his boots, his earmuffs, a wool hat covered with wood chips, and a tattoo of a chainsaw on his arm.
Yeah.
A very flamboyant, carving away.
I've seen him do his work
Yeah.
several times. So
At night, I think he is some kind of a jazz or folk musician. Thank you.
No, just thank you very much for bringing people to us. We certainly will enjoy having him here for a while, and it is a very unique.
Well, his first suggestion was, he mentioned doing an Iron Man, but somehow that didn't fly. We just thought King Philip. And he doesn't look like your traditional, what you think of as an Indian. Native American, sorry.
Native American, right, right.
Thank you all for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
thank you for the history and all. Thank you, Kathleen.
Oh, yeah.
I know that was a very good history
very
lesson.
nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Could we have a picture with him again?
Can you have? Certainly.
No.
Oh,
I know that means yes.
Well, we're not going to move him, so you're going to have to move, you guys.
you guys move and we'll move out of your way.
And
The whole board? With the whole board? I don't know if they want to, would the board like to
come up, the board that's here?
So you two met him, Phil?
Oh, yeah, we met him. Where's Pat?
Mr. Buck should be there too.
Where do you want me?
You said that, I didn't.
Are we Rich, do you want to be next to Mom? Rich. I was just going to say, do you want to be next to Mom?
This is true. He could stand in back of Linda.
Could you?
Back.
Yes.
No.
No,
Could you slip her down? Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay.
Very nice, Kathleen, very nice. Really nice.
He wants to clear out some of this.
Just this chair's fine.
Just stay here for a while.
Well, wait a minute. We have
Here's
another
one
member.
more.
Come on.
Yes, you do.
Get up. Stay late and the dollar short.
Hi, Liz.
Thank you.
Chief, excuse me, Chief, my niece has my little camera, would you take one? Because she don't have a
I've got it all ready yet.
She's too bashful. You can, you know, I don't think you can get everybody, you can try.
Oh, this is true.
But just squeeze right up.
Down in front of him because that was.
We can put Linda there, she'll fit right under his chin.
I'll fit right.
Here we go.
You ready?
Ready.
You ready?
Okay.
Very
Well,
good.
you did a nice job. Very nice, very nice.
Oh, thank you. That's what I was going to say, so.
I missed the whole
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Happy 50th anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Too many selectmen's office got a totem pole in their meeting room.
He said it's all total. He has to pay a punishment for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Go ahead, I want to take a picture of the board with that.
I thought so, that's why.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you,
All right.
Chief.
No appointments tonight. Public hearings. Our one public hearing was continued to next week at the request of the candidate. New business waste management contract amendment, Mr. Buckner. It looks good on my end. It looks good on your end.
Yes, been reviewed by town council. They've reduced the price that we pay to take our trash there in exchange for a 3-year extension of the agreement. They needed 20 years to pay off the note that they took out to pay for the building. Originally, it was signed in 2000 and would have expired in 2020, but it didn't open until 2003. So we gave them 3 years. They reduced the price. In the future, we'll pay the lesser of the market price or the base price times inflation rate. So it's a good deal for both sides.
All right, what's the board's pleasure?
Move to accept this project. Move to accept it, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That
Excuse
is
me.
approved. Any other new business, Mr. McKinnon?
Nothing, sir.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Old business, Mr. McKinnon?
No, sir.
Mrs. Smith?
No, sir.
Town administrator's report, Mr. Buckner.
I just wanted to mention that the junk, scrap, and debris bylaw that was passed at town meeting in May was approved by the Attorney General. Filming at the Raynham Dog Track parking lot continues. I know they're on for tomorrow unless it rains, and Filming may be extended for another week if not completed on schedule. We had a meeting with Superintendent Forbes and the district's bond advisor on the positive effects that a district stabilization account would have on its bond rating and interest rates. But even without the stabilization account, the school committee will move ahead to refinance school debt to take advantage of low interest rates. And of course, Chairman Pacheco and FinCom Chairman Wheeler were both also in attendance. A few things upcoming, as you said, Peddler's Loft is continued to next week. Sursage monthly meeting tomorrow, and on Thursday we have a meeting of the ad hoc committee on the North School, South School at 3 p.m. And Student Government Day tentatively set for Thursday, November 17th.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Buckner. I understand you used one of your old automobiles for the track, so I take offense to that, but nonetheless.
Have they had much activity up there, Randy, from cars? Any reports that a lot of people watching and stuff?
Yeah,
No?
apparently
Have they?
a lot of interest.
Good.
So far, it's been safe, though. No accidents.
Good.
Selectmen's report, Mr. McKinnon.
Nothing, sir.
This is
No,
good.
sir.
Myself, correspondence, we have correspondence CC'd to us from the Newfield and Fahey families regarding Triple E. It's a lengthy letter, but a significant letter. And without taking away the integrity of the letter, I'll paraphrase because I've read this and have had a few subsequent conversations with the family. They are expressing to the commissioner, to the governor, and to the state their disappointment with the action or lack thereof by DPH and relative to aerial spraying. And I think we echo what the family has been saying in terms of aerial spraying, and we certainly appreciate them CCing us on this. Our sympathies continue to go out to that family, and I believe this board will continue to do all we can on this issue. From the Raynham Housing Authority, at its meeting on September 28, the commissioners voted unanimously to decline accepting of the North School for funding reasons. While it is a beautiful building and was structurally sound, the funding that we had tried to get would not cover a renovation project unless we could have gotten at least 10 units out of this building. From the fire department, the September monthly status reports: 74 fire calls, 134 ambulance calls, 88 miscellaneous calls. And tag days: Berkeley firefighters, November 10, November 17, December 1st, December 2nd, December 8, and December 9. And Girl Scouts Raynham, January 13, 14, 15, 20, 21, 22, 27, 28, 29. February 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19, 24, 25, 26. March 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, and 12.
I had picked a number of old numbers. Are they going to pitch a tent and stay there?
Apparently.
It's a very
Wow.
Aggressive.
active group.
Wow.
Yeah. Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. Community or citizen input. Anything for us tonight, gentlemen? No? Sir, anything for us? Okay. Press time. Seeing, you're not with the press, are you?
Yeah, with the,
Oh, you are? Okay.
Ah.
Well, welcome.
thank you.
We thought we recognized you.
That's the first assignment, actually.
That's why we almost recognized you.
Anything for us tonight?
Can I just get a comment on the King Philip statue?
Mr. McKinnon, do you want to take this one?
I'd say that the gentleman who did this is noted in Massachusetts for his ability of working with his craft, and that I'm sure the Cultural Council is well aware of that, or they wouldn't have hired him in the first place. I'm looking forward to their victory tour and wish them well in their final location.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. Anything else for us tonight? Okay. Any emergency business?
Hearing none. We move to adjourn and pay the bills. No business to be conducted after.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Welcome on board. What's your name?